of Christ, which we shall be ushered to your presence and abide with you forever. Come now, thy people, bless and give thy word, it says. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit we pray. Amen.
Victory in Christ.
being God. And for compassion that faileth not. We describe the unfailing compassion of God as hesed. Never fails. Love that continues to pour upon us. Amen. You know, just a disclaimer before we get into the text. No matter how bad you are, no matter how bad you were, no matter how bad you are, God thinks you're worth saving. He thinks you're worth saving. Oh yeah. Sometimes we get on these tips about our worth, and we get caught up in the treacherous things that we do. But through it all, he thinks that we're worth saving. Yeah. And I thank him for that. Yeah. Exodus chapter 14. If you don't mind, turn there with us. And we will try to dig into this and peel back a couple of layers. Hopefully they're enlightening to us, and we may be again encouraged today. Not only that, but inspired. Our scripture reading shall be verse 3 and 4. Reading from a King James Version of the Bible. Here is the text. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness has shut them in. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them. I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. From that reading, we want to continue in the subject. I know it is something. I gave you a very long introduction last week, probably 30 minutes worth of introduction. You don't need that today. Just to echo a couple of things, we want to practice while we're going through our times of transition to change our mindset from wanting to praise God when we're out of it, to understanding that in the midst of it, I know there's something going on. I tried to share with you on last week that God's not a God of waste. God doesn't waste time. God doesn't waste blessings. God doesn't waste people. Whatever God allows in our lives, we must understand that he knows that we can handle it and that we are the prime candidate for it. If God didn't think that you would survive it, he wouldn't let it come to you. But because he knows that you can survive it, that we move from survive, that not only can you survive, but you can thrive in it. See, can't nobody handle your storm like you can. God knows that already. What we have to make a practice of is realizing that we must have and express greater confidence in God. See, God ain't like our finicky friends. See, some folk will go with you so far. And once they understand that your blessings are exceeding them, they'll start setting up traps for you. Because they don't want you to go farther. But God doesn't mind your elevation. God doesn't mind your elevation. Strangely, at the end of this sermon, I'll tell you what God is after. What I need you to know here is that God, as wavery as Israel was, God was proud of it. Why was God proud of a wavering Israel? They were his.
All right.
You might not like everything your child does, but you ought to be proud of them because they are yours. I have three. Not proud of everything they've done. Don't like everything they've done. But I'm proud of who they are. Just like you, why would you say proud? Because just like you're not what you're gonna be. I hope not. I hope you haven't come to a place on this journey where you have decided to put it in park and say that I'm here or that this is good enough for me. Looking at our text, I want to skip over verse number 4 intentionally, but I want us to understand that there are a couple of things that we ought to know about this Exodus for the Israelites. God chose to carry them the way he did for a reason. God's choices for us makes perfect sense to him. That's why we sing the song, we'll understand it better by and by. You may not know all of it, but you will understand it better by and by. Why did God allow the Israelites to come out of Egypt and take the route that they did? God allowed them to take the long route around to get to the Red Sea. You told me, Reverend, that God doesn't waste time. So if God doesn't waste time, why would God take the long route? Here is the answer. God knew who he was dealing with. Was one of the reasons. God understood, watch me now. You have to go back to chapter 13 and verse number 18 and understand that God took them the way that he did because he realized that had he taken them through the Philistines' camp, they would have to engage in war. And the mindset of the Israelites was, we'd rather go back to Egypt than fight our enemies. God understood that they were not warriors. They were sheep. Well, Gary, how do you know they were not warriors? Because there was no rebellion in Egypt. The more they were oppressed, they accepted it. The more they were mistreated, they accepted it. The more the demands were for them to keep up their production with minimum supply, they accepted it. There were a people who were very accepting of the oppression of Pharaoh. Why were they accepting? Because they were fearful. When you're scared, you will just about accept anything. Some of us are scared to leave our jobs.
Amen.
Because we don't know what's in front of us. So I'd rather have a job than trust that God has something better. I'm familiar with this job. I know my boss is only going to act a fool around Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and half a day Thursday. I've learned to make the adjustments. And I'm afraid to say something to my boss. And I'm afraid to leave this job. God takes them this route. And what ends up happening on this route is that they are surrounded.
All right.
King James Version say that they have wilderness, as Pharaoh say, has entangled them. The sea in front of them and petitions on the left and the right. It would seem as though that God has set it up for Pharaoh.
That's right.
I got it. And all the Israelites can say in this experience of being boxed in is, were we not better off in Egypt?
All right.
Can I ask a question here?
Yes, you may.
Have you ever thought about why God leaves minimum options for us sometimes? You saying what? It's that place you call I don't know what I'm going to do. It's that place that you come to and you it seems like the world has all of a sudden got small. It's where you figure your ride or die. Those moments. Have you ever asked why God leaves us with minimum options? Watch the text now. Watch the text. You got to stay with the text. What ends up happening is that God brings them there. They're surrounded. They got the sea in front of them. They got the walls on the left and the right. And Pharaoh's heart has been hardened to go after them because Pharaoh has said to himself, what have we done? We have nobody to serve us.
Right.
We have nobody that's going to cater to us. Right. And I told you that a heart looks like one that only thinks about itself. It only thinks about how it benefits the people in its house. And it doesn't go outside that door. And if it does go outside that door, it means that I have greater to gain from you than you have to gain from me. Some folk are only your friend because you have more to give to them.
Amen. Amen.
Oh, they brag about you all the time. Ooh, Dean he's a good friend, man. Ain't nobody like Dean. But when Dean sit down and do the assessment, he find out that he's always lending, he's always running to the aid, he's always the one dialing and making the phone calls, he's the only one checking up on the groups, and he's the only one that's saying, hey, y'all be encouraged, and hey, it's on me this time, and then the next time it's still on him because he's generous towards them, because he's considering empathy towards their situation, because the last thing he heard was they couldn't make it and they was trying to borrow it, and they were, listen, they're struggling through things, and he just said, well, come on, Melissa, let's do something. She wanted to stop a long time ago, but he's still hanging in there with that crowd, and that crowd keep on coming back. And hey, Dean, what y'all doing for Thanksgiving? Hey, what y'all doing this weekend? Hey, what y'all doing for the holidays? Hey, what y'all doing for this week? Hey, I heard that you off this weekend. What y'all doing for vacation? Hey, where y'all gonna ride out to? Hey, we gonna go along with you, because we know if we ride with you, you buy gas and you sponsor lunch and food and others. We hanging with you. The only thing that Dean asked us to do is lead a tip. He knows when all the sales are happening, and hey, and da-da-da-da-da. So Pharaoh had a hard heart. And he said, listen, I'm going to get these folk, because, listen, the whole posse around Pharaoh said, we ain't got nobody to serve us. We ain't got nobody to make us feel puffed up.
Well,
nobody to make us feel VIP. Nobody to make us feel like we are important. Nobody that stands when we walk in the room anymore. We looking at each other saying, who you, what you. And they gone. The folk that really bow before us, they gone. Pharaoh said, doggone it, you're right. We better go get these folk. In the scripture said that he had chosen chariots, which means that he didn't get the stuff out the barn. He had the stuff that came out the shop ready. He had chosen chariots that he said, we'll get ready to go get these folk, because we're going to bring them back. Not because, listen, they belong to us, but because we want them to serve us. We still want them to be minute peasants. We want them to still be the ones that bow their heads and feel like they ain't nobody. Somebody to accept our injustice and accept our low down words and ways, but too afraid to stand up for themselves. Well, what happened was God got tired of them being like that.
all right.
And when God got tired of his children praying and crying for deliverance, God sent a deliverer in to lead them out. And after he wrestled with the Israelites so long, I almost said cathedral. After he wrestled with the Israelites so long, I'm sorry, it almost slipped. Well, since I was thinking that I might have well said, since he sent him into cathedral to try to deliver them, all they wanted to do was remember how it used to be. Rather than go out of it and be in a better place, the only thing they could think about was how it used to be. They didn't want to change their environment. They didn't want to change their behaviors. They didn't want to change their way of thinking. The only thing they could think about was how good it was to be oppressed, how good it was to be in bondage, how good it was. So take us back to it. Now let me tell you what's going on, because I got to speed up some. What's going on is they have not really encountered Pharaoh. They hear him coming. Marvin Gaye said it best. Believe half and none of. Can I ask y'all a very personal question before I move? Look like I got y'all attention. Ain't you sick or tired of folk talking about what I heard? Maybe I got the wrong crowd. But the Israelites saying, we hear it. Ain't you heard he coming? God boxes them in, because here's the thing that we need to understand. Why did he do? Not only did he he didn't give them the shorter right because he knew that they were not warriors. He takes them the long way around because he knows that if I get them to this place, it's least likely that they're going to try to return back to Egypt. Well, God is saying here that I don't want to risk them returning.
All right.
I'd rather take them this way for the assurance that they will continue to move forward. Watch what I'm saying. You need to understand that when you are boxed in, it ain't a bad thing. God will always have a way for you to come out. But the way you might want to go, God is saying, no.
Amen.
God also knew that having the barriers on the left and the right, Pharaoh on behind, that the only one way they could go. What you say there? You said they got walls, water, and an army. And the only thing, God knows there's only one way they can go. The walls ain't gonna move.
Come on, preacher.
And Pharaoh ain't turning back. And if I understand something about God, if I understand God, then I must say at this moment, I know it's something.
Come on now. Yes, I know.
Because I have to ask you this question. Do you think that God fixed the last problem in your marriage for you to die where you are now?
Come on, preacher.
Do you think God changed your job and put you on a better job for you to die where you are now?
Come on now.
Do you think that God healed your body and restored you for a season such as this for you to all of a sudden die here? God brought them out of Egypt. Listen, in the Bible say they left Egypt boldly. Not only that, but they left Egypt rich. God doesn't give you those kind of blessings for you to come to a place in life what you call a barrier to die. You must ask yourself, when you think about turning back, God is up to something. Because the only way that I turn back is that the devil is trying to entice me with fear. If you're thinking about turning back because you're afraid, you got the wrong frame of mind.
Amen.
Onward, Christian soldier, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. They appear to be boxed in, and here is the soldiers behind them, Pharaoh saying, we're going to get them and bring them back. And God has delivered them to go back? No. God has spared them to go back? No. God has enticed them with riches to go back and be poor again? No. So here's what happens. God says to them, the only way they can go is forward. Sometimes God has to minimize our options for us to go forward. Sometimes God has to take away all of the other choices for us to go forward. But Israel doesn't see how they're going to come out of this. Because you don't see how you're going to come out doesn't mean that God doesn't have a plan. Because you don't see how you're coming out don't mean that God doesn't have a plan. One more time. Just because you don't see how you're coming out does not mean that God does not have a plan. Remember, God brought them this way for a reason, because he had given them the short route. They would have went back to Egypt, so God took them the long route because he didn't want them to go back to Egypt. Have you ever been somewhere you said that I've been through too much to turn back now? I had to give up and sacrifice too much to turn back now. That's really what God is doing. We've had to walk too far to go back to Egypt. Pharaoh armies is coming. Let me go ahead and preach and go. He went on to say this, that the Egyptians began to talk about their predicament, because this is where I want to get to. They began to see that being back in bondage was better than looking forward. Remember, the only thing they could think about, Dennis, was graves. I never understand why Christians who have survived so much, when they come to their next storm, the only thing they can think about is graves. They even told Moses in their interaction with him, did we not have this conversation when we were in Egypt for you to leave us alone? We were afraid to come against Pharaoh. We thought that we had to fight. We didn't know that God was going to make them put us out. That's not, I'm paraphrasing. Because they really thought the only way out of Egypt was they had to fight their way out when God really had them put out. Now the God that allowed them to be put out or pushed out, they're standing before the Red Sea and they're saying to the person who's led them this far by God's leading to say to him, did we not tell you that we were better off in Egypt? At least we had graves over yonder. That's right. That's right. I don't know why when we come to places in life that we often think about this is the end of me. Rather than thinking, God is using me. The other day, let me go ahead and tell it. The other day, Tommy, I was thinking over 30 years in ministry, where I am right now, I was thinking, man, I need a career change. Because if all I'm going to keep doing is bumping my head against problems, if all I'm going to end up doing is trying to fix stuff that's broke, if all I'm going to keep doing is having one agony after another, being agitated one time after another and another time after another, I need a career change. I told someone in conversation that it probably would be better for me if I went back to the world. See, y'all shaking your head. You ain't never had what I had. I'm talking about my story. Because at least in the world, we looked out for each other.
Come on, preacher.
Every time I had every Friday night and Saturday, I had friends that called me and say, do you have a ride?
Come on, preacher.
You got your cover charged? Every time we got ready to drink, they always said, listen, I got $3 on it, I got $4 on it, I got $5 on it, I got $6 on it. We thought we was getting a six-pack and we ended up with a case. Our offering was so great. When we smoked our favorite, we passed it down. We made sure that everybody got some. But in the church, I'm not sharing nothing until I get full. And until my cup runs over and I get my storehouses filled. You talking about how bad you got it? You got my prayers. And your pocket's full. Never offer me a ride to Bible class, Sunday service, midweek service, nothing. With all of your leftovers, I never come to buy. Sometimes God brings us to a place where there aren't options for us. And then we have to understand that God is always saying that what God says to Moses is this, let the people know, listen, stop your complaining. In verse number 15, it is time for them to move forward. How in the world am I going to move forward when the Red Sea is in front of me? I know I can't go right. I know I can't go left. I know I don't want to go back and face Pharaoh. And God is saying, go forward. God is up to something when he tells you to go forward. When it's dark outside, when it's cold outside, and when the world is standing against you, God must be up to something. No turning back. No turning back. Why? I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back. No turning back. Watch this. When the people began to complain, I got to finish this. When the people started to complain, you know what they were telling Moses was not popular. Can you imagine being the leader that Moses was, and he was in the water in the wilderness on both sides and the army behind them? I'm sure one of the very fleshly thoughts of Moses was, God, what have you done? That the water is before us and the walls are beside us and Pharaoh is behind us. Did I miss you, God, in hearing what you were saying that night? Is it time for us to go to put on our shoes and to borrow from our neighbors that we may leave this place? Did I miss you saying something, God? I want to tell you this. I bring this up because I want you to know that sometimes in life, the thing that you were sure of yesterday, you might question it today. But just because you have questions doesn't mean that God changed his mind. Because the devil is on your heel, it doesn't mean that God has changed his mind. Just because folk are walking out of your life don't mean that God has changed his mind. Just because folk are treating you ill doesn't mean that God has changed his mind.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm preaching to me now. But he goes on to say in verse 15 to go forward. The better for the Egyptians to say this, the Israelites say it's better for us to serve than to be free. It's better for us to be slaves than to be free. That we should die. And though we should die there, not here. One favor this morning, before I jump into the next thing. One favor. Can you touch the person beside you? Tell them where you are. You can't die. Where you are right now, you cannot die. Y'all don't believe that. Y'all don't believe that. Y'all don't believe that. Watch me. Watch me. Anybody been sick in the last 12 months? And God healed you? I need you to stand. Stand. If you've been sick in the last 12 months and God healed you. Anybody been in a financial crunch and God just worked it out for you? You didn't know where it was going to come from, but God worked it out. I want you to stand. Anybody in here have had something ill spoken about them and it hurt you to your heart, but you got a pulse this morning. I need you to see. Anybody here that really have been in a place where you were confused? You scratched your head, you patted your weave, and you pulled your hair. But listen, an answer came to the question that you were in dilemma about. I need you to stand. Anybody prayed about something this year? I'm just talking about the last 12 months. And God took his time doing it. But within 12 months, he did it. I need you to stand. Maybe you had a child that you was about to say ain't yours because ain't nowhere in the world a child of yours that act like this, but somehow God turned the child and God turned you. If that's you, I want you to just Anybody ever been unemployed in the last 12 months and application after application, but really none of the application you filled out you got a call from. You got a call from some other application. Somebody spoke your name and they called you. I need you to stand. That's enough people standing right there. For those of you that are standing, I need you to know that God brought you out of what he brought you out of. Not for you to die right here. Not a month later, not 6 months later, not 12 months later. No. That's not the kind of God we have. No, God is up to something with bringing you out of the stuff that you were in, that you were boxed in. No, God is up to something. God didn't want you to die, but what God allowed it to happen was in your village where you live. Is that the stranger that thought that, oh my God, it's the end of you. Oh, God wanted them to see, oh no way, why is it the end of him? Because I'm the kind of God that will come to the defense of my people. I'm the kind of God that though you might pull together a funeral home, I'm the one that will speak life over a dying situation. Not my children. No. I've done too much right now for them to die right here. There's something in front of them that I want them to achieve. Let me push the text. Push the text. My time is up, but let me push the text. Let me finish this. He goes on to say that, listen, that what they were going through, you got to remember, you can have a seat. What you got to remember is that what they were going through was not about them. But what they was going through was through them. God wanted to work through them to do what he was doing. See, what ends up happening with most of us, we make our journey personal. We make our problems about what went wrong in our life rather than I'm the right choice for the storm I'm facing. Help me somebody. I need us to understand this morning here what the Israelites are trying to do. That God needed something from them. God needed something from the Israelites. I want you to remember now, follow me now. God says a long time ago in verse number 4, he said that I may honor myself upon Pharaoh and that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. What did you just say? God said that I may be glorified through Pharaoh and that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. What Egyptians are you talking about? The Egyptians that are back in Egypt, that they might know that I am the Lord. How would they know that I am God if they are back in Egypt? Because this army is not going back home. There is no trophies for them to take back home. There aren't any people that's going to take back home into captivity. God is going to redeem his people right where they are. So what does God need from us? Moses tells us in the verse. He says to the people of Israel this. He says, fear not. Stand still and watch God rescue. 3 powerful statements. Now, why does he tell them to be not afraid? Because when you are afraid, you're like a drowning person. A drowning person will drown you. And this is what they already know. You ready? A person that can't swim already know when the lifeguard comes, I can't swim. But because they are so afraid, their actions are irrational. That they will drown the lifeguard, and because they already know they can't swim, they're going to drown themselves. What sense does it make to drown the person that's coming to save you? So when Moses tells them to fear not, what Moses really saying is, get yourself together. Put it together.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The next thing he tells them what? Stand still. Why stand still? Because when you're afraid, you're going to do this. You're going to run.
Yes, sir.
What Moses understands here is we can't run because if we do, we're going to stampede one another. Why do you say that, Gary Adams? Because oftentimes death, Sandra, is not caused by outside forces. Caused by inside forces. Why do you say that? The devil know he can't kill you.
Well,
but he know you can't kill yourself. What you mean? I like something. What do you mean, Gary? Watch me. When you are afraid, you will talk yourself out of the very thing that you left home to do. Right here in this room. Ambitious people, all the way up to the 12th grade, was going to be something other than what you are right now. The first college course you took, you changed your major. Listen, not because you couldn't do it, but because you were afraid to do it. You told yourself from a child, I am going to be. In your first classroom semester, you changed your dream because you were afraid. You told yourself in quitting, I don't have the discipline. I'm not willing to make the sacrifice. It's too hard. Too much for me. You quit. Why? Fear. Moses said, before we run each other over, stand still.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you remove your fear, you can hear better. You hear clearer.
Yes, sir.
You can follow the instructions. Stand still. Moses, why are we standing still? And see the Lord rescue.
All right now.
Moses, how are you able to tell us to fear not and to stand still and see God rescue? Well, how do you think you went through 430 years of slavery? It was God.
Yes, sir.
How do you think you were able to do the things that you were able to do while you were in slavery? It was God. How do you think you were able to pack at night and get from Pharaoh's house without a death threat? God. Who made you rich in the woods? God. Who gave you shoes that has not worn out yet? God. Who let you leave with all your children? God. What makes you think that God is going to rescue us, Moses? We see him do it. All of the years that you cried and prayed, did he not answer? Yes, he did. Did he tell you that he was going to bring you out? And he did. Yes, he did. And because you were facing the Red Sea, you were troubled. And listen to this verse. God says to them, why cries to me? I got lost there. Because he says to Moses, why cries to me? He wasn't really asking Moses, why you crying? He said, why the children crying?
Yes, sir.
The thing that you got in your hand, use it. What did you just say to me, Pastor? The answer is in your hand. The decision to move forward is in your hand. To not give up is in your hand. To keep going is in your hand. To not die is in your hand. It's not the devil's hand. It's in your hand. And God tells Moses, so listen, stretch out your rod. You've seen it do things in the past and it will do some things today. In other words, you've seen me use you before and watch me use you again. Stretch out your hands, Moses. And Moses lifts up his hand and the water begins to part. And God sends an east wind in and it opens up the waters and creates hallways. Watch me. Lift up your rod.
Thank you, Lord.
And stretch your hand. and say, lift up your arm. Stretch out your hand. When you think you're going to die, when it looks like you're boxed in, when the enemy's on your heat, when you're outnumbered, when you have no weapon to fight for, fight with. When you're in trouble like that, he don't tell you to praise me. Worship me. Well, why do you say worship? Give me this mic on the podium. Why do you say worship? Give me the mic on the podium. Why do you say worship? Because worship say I adore you. Worship say you are Almighty God. Worship say there is none like you in all the earth. Worship say you are Elohim. Worship say you are El Shaddai. Worship say you are Jehovah. Worship say you are Adonai. Worship say King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Worship say you are majestic. Worship say you are my defender. Worship say you are my buckler and my shield. Worship says a mighty fortress is our God. We let posture escape us because we're too interested in positions. Lift up your rod. Stretch out your hand. I know it's something. He didn't bring me here to die. But for the obstacle that I'm facing, if I can remember who he was in Egypt, how he fed us every day, how he took care of us every day, how we multiplied year after year. Because of our complaints, we should die. But because of your reputation, your name, we shall not die. You're not getting it, you're not getting it, you're not getting it. He was up to something. You said, preacher, you're going to tell me what God wanted out of all of this? It's in verse 4. That I might get glory. And that they may know that I'm the Lord. Your adversity is too big for you alone. But that God might stamp it. That God might stamp it. Everybody knows it's too hard for you. But not too hard for God. What are you saying? Zip it. Lift it. I don't care what it is that's out of order. Stretch your hand. You're not getting ready to die. Because I ain't got no glory in dying. Well, why do you say that? What did David tell God? The grave can't testify. But if you spare me, I'll be your witness. I'll tell it everywhere I go. of my life. Too big for me. What did God want out of it? Glory. And that it will be known that I'm the Lord. Watch this thing now. Watch this. I told you a couple more questions and I'm done. Why did the angel that was leading them shift to the back of them? Over 600,000 men along.
Yes, sir.
And not one was prepared to be a warrior. Watch it. It says that when the sea parted and Pharaoh them thought that he opened a way for them, he's buying us more time to get them. The angel, when they saw the mind of Pharaoh, Chris, come here. Jesus, come here. Stephen, come here. Real quick. Keaton, come here. Face that way. Everybody face this way. Come on, Arthur, get up here. Harvey, jump up there real quick. The angel that was leading them into the Red Sea, because they would not have gone on their own accord. But the angel that was leading them was showing them it's safe. Can I say what Big Mama said? Ain't no trouble in God's water. The angel that was leading them saw that Pharaoh thought that the blessings of God's people was just as much a blessing for him. Shifted his position, created a petition between the people and their oppressors. He allowed there to be a pillar that would provide light for Israel, but would be darkness for the Egyptian. What are you missing? Oh, I know what you're missing. Pharaoh, Moses told them, let's go forward. Be not afraid. Stand still. Watch God rescue you. The enemies that you see today, you won't ever see them again, because your God, he will fight for you. What you need to know is that you can keep your eyes on front, because God got your back. You can keep moving forward, because everything that's behind you, God has already put up a petition to protect you from all hurt, harm, and danger. Though thy enemy come nigh, he shall stumble and he shall fall. I want you to know that when God says go, you need to know that no matter where you are, you need to say to your storm, it's something, and I know that it's something, because he didn't bring me this far to leave me. God wants the glory, but he'll give you the story. God wants the glory, but he'll give you the story. God didn't bring you out for you to die right now. He brought you out that you may tell of his goodness and tell of his wondrous work. How did you make it? By the Lord being my help. How did you keep your mind? The Lord being my help. How do you get up day after day? The Lord being my help. How do you do it? The Lord being my help. All I want you to know is the God that will lead you will be the God that will protect you. Can I get you to hit your neighbor one more time? Just one more favor. One more favor. Can I get you to hit your neighbor? Just say, you covered. You covered. Just go ahead. You covered. Keep going forward. You covered. You covered. Yeah.